Well, this is a crisp November day, but it's not super cold. So welcome to Gretchen's Garden and Greenhouse, and we're going to start doing our preparation for the holiday season. We like to hang our lights up early, whether we turn them on or not, because it's a lot easier to do it in 50-degree weather than 32-degree weather, snow, and ice. Now, we have some LED lights, and Al has done a system where he's put some hooks up all along the roof so that it's easier for him to install the lights. So we'll start off with installing some lights.
So I'm going to start by laying out the lights, and what I do each year is I take them down. I make sure that the plug end is in this bucket, the last thing, so that I can install the plug end here. I'll just kind of tie that to an extension cord I already have. We'll get around to plugging it in later, but right now I just want to stretch this out, and then I'll get a ladder and hook it on the hooks. But if you, how many of you have trouble when you start to do your lights and they're just a snarl? Well, if you lay them in a bucket like this, coil them up very gently, they're real easy to put out next year. And of course, when you're taking them up in January, you're probably not thinking about next year, but when next year comes, you'll be wishing you had. Anyway, I'll just get these all scattered out here. By the way, we do, probably all of you do, but we do LED lights because the other lights, if you got one bad light, the whole darn string goes out. Well, the LEDs, it don't seem to be that way. And there's the end. I'll just kind of drape that over the edge of the hedge here. I'll put this back in the garage and get a ladder, and then we'll start hanging these. This type of ladder seems to work pretty well for me. It's not nearly as shaky as the lean it up against the house type, but we'll see how this works. And as I get older, the more I'm careful about not getting myself into a jackpot. Okay, here we go. And let's see, I've got another one over there. Right there. And then I'll have to get around to the end. There we go. The hedge has grown just a little bit since I put these up last year. So I'm going to probably have to do some trimming here in the spring. Okay, anyway, got that started. And about every 6 feet or so, I've got another cup hook. So it makes it a lot easier to hang these darn things. And I don't know how all of you have your lights arranged, but I would suspect that you have some kind of a similar setup so that you can hook them. All right. Well, that's a little bit uneven there. That's a little bit better. Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, he has progressed to the cement.
Yeah,
so it's getting a little bit easier.
It's a lot stabler in the cement, that's for sure.
So we're progressing.
One of the things I'd like to point out, being that we're here, that we were just talking about it off camera. I want you to notice we've got cobwebs all along here. You might wonder, why are we not getting rid of them? Well, the truth of the matter is we decided to see if nature would kind of take its course and that the spiders could be beneficial rather than not beneficial. This year, we hardly had a single fly in the house, and we think it's as a result of having spiders around here and those that we had in the sunroom. We had a couple of buddies in the sunroom that kept the flies in the house down to, I think we probably killed a total of 6 flies all summer, which is nothing, you know, compared to the pesky critters we normally have.
In the spring and then let them do new cobwebs.
Yep, exactly.
But we don't, there was a point in time where I used to have people come and go all along around the house and kill the spiders. And we had lots of bugs and stuff that we fought in the house. So I quit doing that, and we're trying to let our ecosystem take care of things. It's a change. If I had real poisonous spiders, I don't think I'd do that. Where I used to live up in the North Hills here as a kid, we had black widows. And you don't want those around, but we don't seem to have the black widows here. We just have the jumping spiders and the garden spiders.
Yeah. Well, there's some wolf spiders that really play hob with the flies.
Yeah. They do bite once in a while if you get too close to them, but it just leaves a little hole and then it clears up, so I figure I can live with that. I don't think they bite out, but they seem to bite me once in a while. The wolf spiders live in the dirt, so I suppose when I'm digging around in the dirt, they see that as a threat. Well, while he's finishing up, maybe we could just take a look at the progress of fall. As you can see, our chokecherry tree has no leaves left. The hawthorn grew, I don't know. If you remember in the spring when I was tying this baby up, it was real small, but it's getting pretty tall. I'm real pleased with it. I just hope it'll start blooming pretty soon and giving us some berries for the birds. And then over here, our maple tree has got a few leaves left, but not too many. And also, we were doing some natural work over here, and this is kind of a dry bed. We have a few sprinklers in a little system. We don't do a lot, but I am getting a little bit of growth here, this plant. And then, as you can see, our sagebrush that we've planted along the edge is coming along. Here's another plant that I've got that will take a little drier environment. That's kind of what I'm doing, is kind of get some native stuff growing here in this dry bed around. Look at this. I planted some wildflowers and I've got some coming up. There's a calendula, and I think that might be a Rebecca. I don't know. I thought I had some echinacea in here, but I don't see any, but maybe it's covered up by the leaves. That might be one over there. So we'll see what we get in the spring. Well, let's go back and check on Al, make sure he hasn't tumbled to the ground. Just about completed this task. And then I suppose we'll get back to some weeding. We do have some fall weeding we need to do as soon as he gets done with this.
Well, let's find out whether we did all this work and it doesn't, and it actually lights. Okay. Well, it works.
Yeah.
But I'm going to unplug that, and then we will not be turning these on until after Thanksgiving, which for us at our household anyway is the start of the holiday season. I'll just kind of loop these around over here and leave them hanging right there, ready to again connect after Thanksgiving. Now in the backyard there's something that I'd like to show you that I discovered while digging some weeds yesterday. So let's go take a look.
We're in the backyard. I'm waiting for Al, but in the meantime I thought I'd show you. We've cut down a lot of plants, but we have a few plants that still have blossoms on them. There's some calendula. And I have this salvia. And yesterday I was thinking about cutting it down, but in the afternoon it was covered with bees. So we're going to leave a few things here for the bees. Here's some more calendula. And then as you come along here, I've got some of my ice plant blooming, and the bees go after it too. Let's see, this is our big sage. We leave it until after we get done with the holidays because it is wonderful. So we use that with our turkey and stuff. This sage I just planted and I didn't realize that I was planting it in the perfect spot. Sage is a Mediterranean plant and it likes drainage. And so because this is raised, it does have lots of drainage, and it's nice and warm here by the pond, and it just thrives. So
You must be talking about the sage while I was gone, huh?
Yeah, and also the plants, the few plants we've left for the bees. So while we walk over here to what Al wants to show you, as you can see, most of the stuff we leave our grass, and here's our cottonwood. Look at the leaves on that. That's so pretty. So, okay, I'm following you, believe it or not. This is where I've put some of our cuttings, and hopefully that's a winter spot for some of our little wildlife friends.
Now, what I discovered yesterday is there's sand all along this shed. So for the first time I was able to really dig up a complete plant. Ones that I thought were really small and didn't have much of a root system, but were just terrible for coming back. It's like this little guy right here. If you can get a real tight shot on that little bunch. Well, what I found out is that if, like I've done in the past, let's take like this and here, I'd go pull it out and call it good and get rid of the waste. Well, let's see if I can dig this guy out.
Boy, that is a little tiny one.
Now, that's very small. Let's see if I can get him broke loose without losing the whole bundle of, there we go. Here's what we have for that little bitty plant. Has a root system that is, what, 4 or 5 times its height?
Yeah, it goes clear down. If you can't
Clear
see
down
it,
here,
clear
and
down
I'm
here.
pretty sure that I broke some off, and every one of those that I broke off is going to grow back. Well, what I used to do when you saw me just digging along the surface is I was breaking it off right about there, and that root system was what was staying in the ground. And anything you've seen in Gretchen's garden and greenhouse over the last year or so is propagation. Cutting a piece of this, taking some of that. Well, guess what we're doing when we're cutting weeds that way? We're propagating them and making them
now, this
more
is
vigorous than ever.
Different looking one. Is that the same kind of a situation there?
No, let's see. I think it's a long taproot type, but let me make sure. Yeah, it's got a pretty long, delicate root system too. Let me pull it up here. And again, if you cut it off there about at the end of that spot right there where I've got the trowel, all that stuff will be below ground, and it just grows back with more energy than it had the first time around.
There's a fairly big one. Let's see what's that there.
Yeah. Notice that I'm not hitting next to the plant, I'm hitting the dirt, and that really rattles that stuff loose. Now here's one you can really see. Well, in fact, I pulled some roots off there. I could feel them breaking as I was taking them off. But anyway, there's what you got, and what you're dealing with is a major underground root system on these, like these guys right here.
Now, I don't know if these are perennials or annuals. You just don't know. If they're annuals, the cold weather will kill them. If they're perennials, they'll just die back this winter and come back and
I absolutely
with
guarantee
even better
you that
roots.
They'll be back here in force next year, right here, because I've been digging them in this spot for, it seems like forever. And anyway, now you probably already knew that, and just a couple of old people sharing the discovery with you, but when you're weeding, sometimes it's better to take a little bit more time, go deeper, and you won't have to do it as often.
Let's, not your theory of let's just make them feel uncomfortable. We need to get rid of them. Let's take a look at the, you remember we planted some late peas? Well, we're obviously not going to get any peas out of them because it's too cool now for them to bloom. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a tunnel over these and protect them this winter, and we'll see if then they come back in the fall. We got a couple of things that here, in the spring. We got a couple of things here. Here we got a bunch of right here we got spinach coming up and a nice spinach plant. We'll probably put a tunnel over those. This is our microgreens, and we've been eating on those for what?
Months.
A month?
Yeah.
Or more, so we still have microgreens, so we'll just keep eating on these. We probably won't try to winter these over. I don't know. We'll see. I see there's some
Oh, look at the root system on that guy.
wow. I see some radishes in there. We should look in there and see if those radishes are ready to eat.
No, that one isn't. The next,
So
no,
we'll
they're
leave 'em
a little bit of time yet.
Well, I guess that takes it for a little while. We could take a look. Oh, over here at the dry bed, we do have some calendula left here for the bees, and they get pretty hungry this time of year. They're not quite dormant yet, so this bed I kind of leave for a while the way it is because I want it to seed. Looks kind of gnarly, but it's just kind of natural. Here's I think this is the Achelea millefolium. Let's see here, I'm not showing you. They're Achelea millefolium rubus. I could be wrong about that, but that's pretty close. And then a whole big patch of calendula.
Well, that's it for this episode of Gretchen's Garden and Greenhouse. Thanks so much for joining us.
Now to the weeding.
Yes, back to work.
Bye.
See you next week.